Shalom, first and foremost, all praise and glory is unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rachak double honor to our apostles, the bishops, the elders of the great millstone. Greetings, salutations, blessings, much love unto you elect. Shalom unto you. Brother Shaquat with a quick video, and this should be really quick. I don't have much time, but one is edifying. And basically, I don't have all the videos, that would take up a lot of time, but as you see, there are a lot of videos, particularly pertaining to bad mouthing, if you will, the U.S. and Israel about their stance and the position they hold in the world right now, particularly with war. And this is just a sign that, there's so many videos that you're just gonna run across where people are upset, they're fed up, they don't like it, and it's gonna come to a point where they're gonna start censoring people, banning people, and eventually locking people up for what they're saying. Okay? Which we fully know that eventually that's going to come upon the men of the Lord, the prophets, the teachers, so on and so forth, is going to particularly come for us. All right? So understand what you're involved in, and here's the biggest point that I wasn't going to go scripturally into, but to make. But this, matter of fact, I'll grab the scripture. Bear with me one second. Then I'll play a couple videos and then a couple precepts and close. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5. And 1, it says, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account for his labors." Okay? When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation far beyond all that they looked for. Now, it's a lot in that, but it's not that they're going to be amazed with terrible fear as far as the people speaking against what they're doing, as much as when they see the salvation for persecuting the people. Okay? That's what's going to, because that's part of the testimony we're going to deliver. Okay? It says we won't give any thought before, what we shall speak, for the Spirit shall speak through us in that moment, right? Well, the key to this is when this is spoken and then they see it coming to pass, that the chariots are there to rescue the elect. Okay, that's when it's gonna really hit a scary spot for these devils. Okay, but we're gonna stand in great boldness and speaking. You have to, because that's a sign and the show of your faith. Now, I don't want to go too deep into that. Let me play the video and I have other precepts. I'll start with this one here. Only a couple of them. I don't have time to play them all.
Cannot go to war with Iran because we do not have. It was in 2007 that the Pentagon told George W. Bush that we cannot go to war.
Well, real quick. Fair use. Okay? It's not for monetary value and all of that. It's simply for educational purposes.
With Iran, because we do not have escalation dominance against them, essentially meaning that they can hit all of our bases and embassies in the region, and we are very vulnerable to them. And we've already seen demonstrated since the Israeli attack that the Iranian the missiles that they sent last year toward Israel, as many of us guessed, that wasn't really their best. They were intentionally making an attack that wouldn't really hurt anybody, that wouldn't really lead to a war, which Iran has done over and over again. But now
we said that. Okay, we said that. All right, we knew that wasn't. They're like, man, we just gonna shoot some shit. We ain't really trying to. We just want to, we can't just let you continue to just. It's like when you get into a fight and somebody hit you, and you just kind of hit them back, but you ain't trying to knock them out right away. You're like, hey man, you better think about what you're doing. I don't think I ain't gonna fight back. All right, which is what we're looking for.
Push them to the point where they probably don't feel that they have the option not to respond. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump telling them to come back to the negotiating table now is a joke. Yeah. What an impotent leader to be sitting there talking about coming back to the negotiating table. It's like sitting after Pearl Harbor and telling FDR, now's the time to go negotiate with the Japanese. Right. Negotiations are over now. The time for negotiations was before this. And so, yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one. Right. And not on some...
Real quick on that. Okay, seemed like the right move. Because they gave you no options. And when you people wake the hell up and start realizing when my brother said it the best way I heard it. He said the lesser of two evils. You have to choose between the lesser of two evils, and that was with Hillary and Trump. Then they turn around and gave you Trump again with Joe Biden, and people just chose for all the wrong reasons. Okay, they chose by just because he's a Democrat, just because he had a black vice president, and I mean just all the dumbest shit. Had nothing to do with what the job they were qualified or unqualified to do. And even now it's the same thing. Well, we're so tired of this guy. We told you was going to beg for a different perspective. Okay, now when we said all of this, all is going to come around, and so there's a rising level of frustration amongst the population, and now they're speaking out on it. Especially since now that they feel duped by what the guy that they knew was supposed to save everything because the other guy was so bad. Okay, now they have a chance to, now they want to okay, well, he's got to fix it. And then now that he's not fixing it and not getting you where you thought, it's frustrating. Okay, well, this is going to be what it is. He's telling you just wait. It'll be a few years, but it's going to all turn around. And it probably is going to turn around for American citizens. But look at the rest of the people here in America that have taken it on getting deported, all these different situations, going to the poorhouse, homeless, inflation, all these things are still happening. Okay? And especially until that turns around. And no matter how good it does eventually turn around, it will eventually be destroyed. Okay? So these are talking points that they're gonna persecute for.
Not on some ridiculous Nancy Pelosi. Of course, the Congress will never do it because they're all a bunch of corrupt hacks.
This is the one thing they support. This is like
Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him. It's the absolute betrayal of everything that he ran and campaigned on and everything that he stood for. And I will say, despite the fact that Donald Trump supporters have been labeled like a cult following, and that certainly is true for a percentage of his supporters, he is going to lose his coalition over this. I know I don't just speak for myself, but I say there are a lot of us who simply will not go along with this. So it's just a devastating mistake. By the way, on top of that, he's also going to lose the deportation fight because of this. Because right now he needed all the political capital he could have to turn that. You got a majority support for deportations, but the minority is very mobilized and they're out and they're protesting all around the country. He needed all of his political capital for that move. So here's what we got. The neocons win. More war abroad and, bomb the world and invite the world. No matter who you vote for, you always get John McCain.
It's our money. If Israel wants to carry out war crimes, they shouldn't do it with our money.
Fair use.
You can't, on one hand, demand that American taxpayers who are desperate for a better life here in America, they need to hand over billions of dollars to the Israeli government and the IDF, and we need to shut the F up about any of our critique. AIPAC is evil. AIPAC is evil. My fellow Americans.
Key thing, shut the F up about our opinions.
Are you okay with that? Are you okay with a lobbying group representing the best interests of a foreign government telling you you need to bust your ass every day, work a job that you likely hate, and have a portion of your earnings taken from you by our federal government and funneled to the Israeli government so they can commit atrocities in the Gaza Strip? Are you okay with that? Because I'm not okay with that. And nothing gets under my skin more, okay, than hearing these pieces of crap. They feel entitled to our money. Entitled. That gets under my skin more than you guys understand, okay? It's our money. If Israel wants to carry out war crimes, they shouldn't do it with our money. But you can't, on one hand, demand that American taxpayers who are desperate for a better life here in America, they need to hand over billions of dollars to the Israeli government and the IDF, and we need to shut the F up.
I have to keep that shut the F up, okay? And so they're going to make people shut the F up. All right, so let's get a few precepts and close. I got to be out of here in just a couple moments. This is Isaiah chapter 29. Start up at 18. It says, "And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book." What book? The Bible. And who are the deaf? It ain't that they're literally deaf and their ears don't work. It's that they couldn't hear the words of the book before, but now they're starting to open up and be able to hear it through the Spirit. This is the end. Okay, the Spirit is moving through all the people. People are having dreams. People are seeing it for what it is. Whether it's like what it said, they will have sinews, but there's no breath in them. In Ezekiel the 37th chapter, people are going to wake up and they're going to speak, and they're going to be they're not going to have the breath of understanding and wisdom. Okay, they're going to seek unto the prophets eventually, right? And those that hesitate, that don't get the breath, hey man, you're going to be without. Period, point blank. It said, the meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord, right, doing righteousness, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. And that's where we're at. We're the lowly, we're the poor, we're the ones that are going to realize that this is the only place to turn to change our lives around. All right, here's where the point is at. 20 says, for the terrible one is brought to naught. Who's that terrible one? These Edomites. Okay, it says, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off. And all of them that watch for this are going to be cut off. It said that make a man an offender for a word. They're going to make a man an offender for something he said. So that freedom of speech trash is out of there. It's trash now. It's no good. They're cutting that off. Okay? When you talk against what they're about. I forgot who said it, but the phrase goes, if you want to know who's in power, just realize who you can't speak against. Okay? And we know we can't speak against the small hats. Okay? It says, but they're the ones doing all the shit. It says, and the scorner, it says, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. And they're laying traps for us that correct our people about what's going on and inform the people. And some of these people are news and whatever else media. That's why I saw a video. It was saying that more people are killed, more journalists are killed in over there in the Middle East. You know, particularly in the Holy Land. Okay, why is that? Why more journalists? Because they don't want them accurately reporting on what's going on over there. So to turn aside the adjusting for a thing of naught. A couple more real quick. Amos 8:11, and behold, the days come, saith the Lord power Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. Okay? Famine of the word. So you're not going to hear the information, and that's when everybody's going to bug out. Well, what's going on? What do we do? Wait, where are those guys at? And that's going to be cut off. Our tongue shall cleave to the roof of our mouth, and we're not going to tell you no more, because the doors of mercy are now shut. It's like the ark being shut with Noah. If you didn't get in and get to understanding and get to going what you needed to, get yourself right, as a lot of you Jakes say. I know I need to get right. Well, keep pussyfooting and you're gonna get left out. All right. And as I was quoting this earlier, it says, beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues, and ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. So they're going to want to know, you to stand. They're going to want you to stand on what you said. And if you don't have a deep-rooted faith and belief for this thing, you're going to come up short in that day, man. The Heavenly Father's not going to exonerate you if you don't have that breath, if you're not of the elect, if you don't have the Thawa. So I'm going to end it right there. Lord, what was edifying, giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, I'll shine to the next one. Shalom.